Good morning, a good night of Shabbos. We're learning Maseches Taanis, Daf Chav and we're starting 7 or 8 lines from the bottom of Kav Chesem and Beis at the 2 dots. We'll be finishing at the top of Lamed Amid Aleph, and then we will not have shiur over Shabbos. We'll come back together again on Sunday and learn Daf Lamed, and Monday, Mir Hashem, with a very short half of an amud for a siyum. Here we go. Says the Gemara that we had listed a number of terrible things that had happened on a collection of bad days, and one of them was Batel Hatamid. The Gemara says here, Gemara, we have a tradition that was the case. What about Huv Ka'ir B'Yud Zayin Hava? How do you know that it was on the 17th? V'aksiv b'chodesh haravi'i batisha lachodesh. So is it going to be the 17th, or is it going to be the 9th? And the famous Gemara Amar Rava Lo Kasha Kan B'Rishona Kan B'Shnia is that the Huvka Ha'ir, the city was breached on different dates, one for each of the Batei Mikdash. Titania, the Brisa writes explicitly 5 lines from the bottom. B'Rishona Huvka Ha'ir B'Tisha B'Tammuz. The first was the walls were breached on the 9th of Tammuz. B'Shnia B'Shiva Sarbo period. Saraf Apostamos as Torah. How do we know that he burned the Torah? Gemara, that's a tradition. What about Hamid Tselem Behecham and Nolan? How do we know that there was a Tselem, that there was an idol that was placed into the Beis HaMikdash? Says the Gemara, because the Gemara says, where's the pasuk here? It says, that they put in a shikut, says the Gemara. There was only one. There really seems to be 2 based on a different pasuk. You're right. Their taka were 2. However, one fell on the other and broke his hand. Apparently they were interacting with one another, and it seems that there was written on the tselem, according to some, it wasn't written on the tselem, it was written on the broken hand that broke off of the tselem. Discussions in the Rishonim, what's going on here. And one of these idols said to the other, Ant savis l'charuve beisa, you wanted to be the one to destroy the Beis HaMikdash, Yadcha ashlemisle, your hand is going to pay for it. Rashi here discusses this. Other Rishonim take different takes on the matter, but basically one was jealous of the other as it related to destroying the Beis HaMikdash. If you take a look at Rashi on the top of the page, Rashi says in Dibar Maskal An Tzavis, Rashi says, Hatzelem Omer L'Chavera, Ata Ratzis L'Hachariv Beiso Shal Makom, Shehitis Yisrael Acharecha, you got the Jews to follow after you. V'aniya Sisi Bach Nekama V'shilamti Loch Yadi, I wanted to do it, I'm a little bit in Nekama. That's what the Gemara says. Second line, let's continue. We live in magical times. Minus COVID, you can get on a plane whenever you want. But there was a gzera in the Psukim and Chumash that one was not allowed to go into Eretz Yisrael, and we know it happened on Tisha B'Av. How do we know that it happened on Tisha B'Av? We need 8 Mari Mekomos to figure this out. Here's pasuk number 1. That's Aleph Nisan. In the first year, he built the Mishkan. In the second year, Heikim Mishkan, he did the Hakamas Mishkan as a Mishkan, and then Vishalach Meraglim. So in that second year, he sent out Meraglim. In regards to the Mishkan, so Nisan Iyar be'esrim bechodesh, on the 20th of the month, the cloud went up, and then it says that they traveled 3 days from the mountain. This is the day that they started rebelling against the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And how do we know they were rebelling? This group of people, that was among them, is Abu Taiva, that had desire. The Meforshim explain it was for meat. That they also wanted meat, and they were rebelling against Hashem. That was 30 days. Esrin v'tartin b'sivan. That brings us to the 22nd of Sivan. And then we know Vatisager Miriam Shivas Yamim, that she had tzaras, she needed to be separated from the Machane for 7 days. What does that bring us to? The Havalon Esrin V'tisha b'Sivan. Now we're at the 29th of Sivan. On that day, Shlach L'cha Anoshim, that on the 29th of Sivan, that they were sent for their shlichus. Okay, Betanya be'esrim v'tisha b'sivan shalach Moshe meraglim. We know they left that day. We know they left 40 days, and that leads to Tisha B'Av. Says the Gemara, no, it doesn't. It only leads to the 8th of Av, because Hani Arbaim Yom Nachichad Haba. You're saying it's 40 days. If it's only 40 days in the month of Tammuz, they left in Sivan, Tammuz, Av. So if they left in Sivan, usually the month of Tammuz is Chaser. So if it's 40 days, then everything's going to be pushed off the wrong way. It's going to be the 10th of Av and not the 9th of Av. I said it the wrong way. It's going to be the 10th of Av, not the 9th. So that month should have been 1 day shorter. Amar Abaye, that particular Tammuz was Tammuz Dahi Shata, the Tammuz of that year. Meluye Milyuha, that year was a full month, and therefore, yes, 40 days after the 29th of Sivan led to the 9th of Av. We know that all the Jews cried by when they heard the reports, which was ridiculous because the Kodesh Baruch already promised them the land. What crying are you doing? So therefore, the famous line of the Gemara, just about a third of the way down, a little bit more by the first of the middle with lines, Amar Rabba Bar Yochanan, Tisha B'Av Haya, it was Tisha B'Av that day, and Amar Lama Kodesh Baruch Hu, Atem Bachisim B'Chiyah Shel Chinam. You're crying over absolute nothingness. Why are you crying in the first place? V'ani Kovei Lachem B'Chiyah L'Doros. And now you're going to have a bechi for a long time, and that's where we are. We're still stuck in the bechi because at the end of the day we don't have a Beis HaMikdash yet. Halfway down, 2 lines into the wide lines. Charab Habayis Berishona. We know that the first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed on that day. How do we know? The pasuk writes in the 5th month, which is Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av. The 5th month is Av. B'Shiva Lachodesh on the 7th of the month. Hishnas Cha Esrei Shana LaMelech Nebuchadnezzar. It's the 19th year of his reign, Melech Bavel. And Bar Nevuzradon Rav Tabachim. He had an executioner whose name was Nevuzradon. Melech Rav Tabachim Eved Melech Bavel. Yerushalayim. He came to Yerushalayim. V'Yisrael Beis Hashem. He did all the dirty work for Nebuchadnezzar, but Nevuzradon did all the dirty work. Fine. Uchsivu b'chodesh hachamishi in the 5th month. Be'asor l'chodesh on the 10th of the month. Hishnas Chas Reishon LaMelech Nebuchadnezzar Melech Bavel. Bar Nevuzradon Rav Tabachim Amad Lifnei Melech Bavel Yerushalayim. So we're a little bit stuck. One pasuk says it was on the 7th, and one pasuk says it was on the 10th. How do we understand this seeming contradiction in the psukim? Oh, so the Gemara says 7 lines into the wide lines. But Tanya, you can't say it's the 7th of the month that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. Because one pasuk says it was on the 10th of the month, and also you can't say the 10th because the other pasuk says how do we figure out these two psukim that seem to conflict with one another? Says the Gemara, on the 7th, the Goyim entered into the Heichal, and they would destroy the Beis HaMikdash on the 7th and the 8th. On the 9th day, on Tisha B'Av Mamish, Samuch Lechashecha, close to the end of the day, they actually lit fire to the building of the Beis HaMikdash on the 9th, at the end of the day, and that fire lit the entire next day as well to the 10th. The fire peaked at, it started growing significantly on the 9th until the shadows of the sun were cast upon it, which means that it was all the way at the end of the 9th day. Whoever would have thought Tisha B'Av should not be Tisha B'Av, it should be Yud B'Av, because most of the fire burned on that day. They only lit it right before Shkia. They lit the fire on the Beis HaMikdash in the afternoon on the 9th of Av. The Rabbanan, 2/3 of the way down. What would the rabbi say? We're halfway through the middle through the wide lines. What would the rabbi say about this concern that most of the fire burned on the 10th and not on the 9th? They'd say, you're right, I agree with you historically that that's what happened, but it's better for us to commemorate that moment in the beginning when the Puranus started, when the bad thing happened. They lit that fire on the 9th. How do we know that on the second Beis HaMikdash that it was destroyed on the same day? Answers the Gemara, there are days on the calendar that have imbued within them goodness and days that have imbued within them puranus. And this day was a bad day. The story goes, when the first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, also Hayom Erev Tisha B'Av Haya, Umotzei Shabbos Haya, Umotzei Shvi'is Haysa. It was a year with everything going right. It was the year, it was Tisha B'Av that day, Erev Tisha B'Av. And it was Motzei Shabbos and it was Motzei Shvi'is Haisa. We even know whose Mishmeres it was. Remember a couple of days ago, we were discussing the Ma'amados and the Mishmaros. The Gemara says, Mishmarta Shel Yehori of Haisa. Wow, what a detailed historical fact. We can actually begin to build out who was which Mishmar at which point. Fine. So they were saying Shira. They were on top of the 15 stairs between the Ezras Nashim and the Ezras Yisrael. And the Gemara says in Mashira Hayalahem, last short line, what Shira were they singing? But they were at the words of Yatzmisem that it should be destroyed, that Hashem will destroy the Beis HaMikdash. And they didn't even get to finish their Shira because they're going to pillage the Beis HaMikdash at that point. And then says the Gemara, first of the long lines, v'chein b'shniya. That's how we know that both the Rishona and the Shniya, both Batei Mikdash, were destroyed on the 9th of Av. Nilka de Beitar Gemara. The fact that Beitar was taken over, that is a tradition. Nechresh Shahir. How do we know that Yerushalayim was plowed over? That we're missing some words here. It should say Nami Gemara is also a tradition. Next, Tanya, the Brisa writes, Taurus Nufus Harasha Sahechal. When Taurus Nufus came to destroy the Beis HaMikdash, Nigzera Gzeira al Rabban Gamliel lehariga. He was supposed to be killed, Rabban Gamliel. Ba'adon echad ve'amad beveis hamedrash ve'amar. So there was one particular soldier who was trying to kill Rabbi Gamliel. And he goes to the Beis Hamikdash and he says, Balachotem Mizbakesh, Balachotem Mizbakesh, the man of the nose we're looking for. So Rashi says, Balachotem, what is this talking about? This Rashi is 2/3, 3/4 of the way down to Ramaskal Balachotem, Balkoma, a person of stature, Vitsura, and of form, Lishna Acharina, Gadol Hador. Whatever it is, this language of Balachotem, they were looking for Rabban Gamliel. Shama Rabban Gamliel, Azar Tashaminahu. They heard that he was looking for him, and Azal, he went, Tashaminahu. Tasha means that he hid, and he went to go hide from them. Azal legabe bitzina. This soldier found him in his hiding place. And Amar le imatzil nalach, if I save you, maisis lila almadasi, will you bring me into the next world? Amar le hein, yes, I absolutely will, save my life. Amar le ishtabali, promised to me, and Rabban Gamliel did ishtabalo. So then what did this guy do? Salik le'igrav nafal v'mis. He jumped off the top of the building. Because he wanted to get olam haba. This guy Deraisa, he was a Roman soldier, it seems, or some kind of soldier. So he made a deal, and he died. And how do we know that this solved the problem for Rabban Gamliel, that everyone would stop looking for him? So apparently this guy was holding. The Gemiri, we have a tradition, when there is a gzera, and one person who has a gzera upon him dies, and since the soldier died and he was now partners with Rabban Gamliel, so therefore all is well, and this person would earn olam haba, that this person, the famous line of the Gemara, Yesh Adam Shekona Olama B'Shah Achas. This person in one decision earned Olam Haba for himself. Let's continue. The Gemara says, Tan Rabbanim Mishachar B'Bayis B'Rishona. This is a terrible story. It's a part of our history, just a terrible part of our history. From the time the first Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, 9 lines from the bottom, these kabtzu kisos shel pirchei kuna, young children all gathered together. They were holding the keys to the Beis Hamikdash in their hand. And they went onto the top of the Heichal, which is a tall building. We learned the measurements of this when we were learning Maseches Tamid. And they said, since we weren't able to be trustworthy people to watch the Beis Hamikdash, take the keys back to the Beis Hamikdash. And they just threw them upwards, heavenwards. Some type of hand came out of the heavens. Acquiesced to their honesty and said, yes, you're right. You guys did not do a good job. And then the little children, could you imagine the commitment? The little children, or they jumped into the fire. Yeshayahu and Navi. Yeshayahu, he also was mekanin this. Masa gei chizayon lach efo ki alis kulach legagos. Everyone went up to the ruse. And the next pasuk reads, Teshuos Melea Ir Homia Kiria Aliza Chalalayich Lo Chalalecher Veloma Meise Milchama. This used to be a joyous place. And the people who are dying, they're not dying by sword, they're not dying by war, they're dying by jumping off of the building because of how terrible things were. Just an awful scenario. And in fact, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Nemar, even Hashem of his own volition, in the same section of Yeshayahu, he adds Mekarker Kar B'Shoa El Hahar, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu trembled as well with everything that was going on by the mountain. 2 lines from the bottom, Chav Tes Amud Aleph, the Gemara quoting our Mishnah writes, Mishnichnas Ab Mematin B'Simcha, and Amar Rav Yehuda Bereder of Shmuel Bar Shilas Mishmei Derab, Kashem Shemishnichnas Ab Mematin B'Simcha. Just like when we enter the month of Ab, and as we spoke about, some months have negative elements to them, some days have negative elements to them. That's true by the month of Ab. However, Kach Mishnichnas Adar Marvin B'Simcha, that when it comes to the month of Adar, that is a day that is Malei Simcha, that is a month, I should say, that's Malei Simcha. And therefore, we have some halachos that apply there. Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa says, Hilkach Bar Yisrael di Islay Dina Bahadei Nachri. If in the month of Av, a Jew has a court case with a non-Jew, Lishtamet Minei Ba'av Derea Mazle. He should not have that court case in the month of Av because that's a difficult month for Jews. Belimse Nafshe Ba'adar, and it should be Detakif Mazle. They should try and move the court case to Adar. That's a long time away. Av, Elul, Tishrei. Right, Cheshvan Kisei Teve Shvat. Others, I'm moving the court case 7 months to Takif Mazle because that's a better month. You can schedule it during the month of Adar. And while we are talking about this particular Amora, because his name was mentioned at the beginning of this section, he's the one who said Mishenichnas Ab Mematin B'Simcha Kach Mishenichnas Adar. We'll learn 2 more statements from him that do not have much to do with what we're dealing with. The 4th line of Chav Testament Beis, the pasuk reads, that there will be some type of hope at the end of this of this phase. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Bereder of Shmuel Bar Shilas Mishmei de Rab Elu de Kalam and Klei Pishtan, that they had some resources. They had the palm trees and they had Klei Pishtan in high volume. Rashi says that they had access to a lot of these clothes, that they were able to wear things. They had clothes to wear. Again, this pasuk doesn't have much to do with what we're talking about. The famous story from Yaakov and Esav and Yitzchak, that you smell like the field. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Berei de Rab Shmuel Bar Shilas Mishmei de Rab. What was he talking about? It smelled like apples. According to some, it wasn't apples, it was esrogim, which is not an uncommon reference. That's why some people say that by Adam HaRishon, people always say it was an apple tree. So that wasn't an apple tree. It certainly wasn't an apple tree. The question is, what was it? Was it Rimonim? Fine. Says the Gemara 10 lines down at the 2 dots Chav Testament base. Let's continue. Shabbos Shechalios. Shabbos Shechal Tisha B'Avlios Besocha Asir Mesaper L'Chabes. We said in our Mishnah that one who is in Shavua Shechalbo. So let's say you're going to have Tisha B'Av be on a Thursday. So starting Motzei Shabbos, it's Asir L'Saper L'Chabes. You're not allowed to get haircuts, and you're not allowed to be mechabes. Amar Rav Nachman lo shanu ela l'chabes v'lilbosh. The only limitation is to do laundry and wear it right away. Aval, says Rav Nachman, l'chabes u'lehaniach mutter. But if a person is going to be lehaniach, if he's going to actually wait until out, he's going to do laundry today, but he's not going to wear it until later, so that's mutter. Rav Shesha Samar afilu l'chabes u'lehaniach. So you can't do laundry during Shavuot Shechalbo, even if you're not going to wear it during that time. Amar Rav Shesha says Teda de batle katre de bei Rab, and Rav Shesha brings a beautiful raya to himself, which is that he knows that when it came to Rab's laundry service stopped. Question. The Gemara says, third of the way down, we had said that on Thursday it's permissible because of Kavod Shabbos. If you want to say that what we're talking about, that is mutter, is to be mechabes and to wear it, that's for sure not true. My Kavod Shabbos ika. That's not Kavod Shabbos. If you wash laundry on Wednesday and wear it on Wednesday, that's not Kavod Shabbos. That's Kavod Wednesday. That's not for sure not. Elo lehaniach. It must therefore be that you are allowed to be lehaniach, because that's what the Brisa writes. That's what Rav Hamnuna brings. Uvachamishu d'shar v'ala Shabbos kula aser. So that's a question on what we started with, because this Gemara that started 10 lines ago seemed to say that you can do anything you want the whole week as long as it's lehaniach, that you're not wearing it. Yet here we see it's only on Thursday and not the whole week. So the Gemara answers, really what we're talking about is rinsing and wearing right away. That is when there's only one chaluk, when there's only one piece of clothing to wear. If a person only had one clothing, and he's allowed to wash it, and he's allowed to wear it right away. Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rav Yochanan. If a person only has one garment, then they can even do laundry during Chol HaMoed. That would be permissible. Itmar Nami, we have another statement from the Amoraim. We're just about halfway down Chav Testament Beis. Amar Rabbi Yamin, Amar Rabbi Lazar, Lo Shana V'Lo L'Chabes V'Lilbosh. The only time this is mutter is when you're doing kvisa to wear it. About lehaniach mutter, no question about it. That if you're doing laundry in order to keep it for later, that it's mutter. Meisvei, this is not so simple. This is not simple at all. Says the Gemara, Asar L'Chabes. We have a brisa that writes Asar L'Chabes Lifnei Tisha B'Av Afilu L'Neach L'Achar Tisha B'Av. You wanted to say, Rabbi Yamin, that after Tisha B'Av that you can leave it lehaniach is mutter. This brisa says you're not. The giyutz shalanu kikibus shalahen, and our ironing of clothes is like their kibus. That's what the Gemara says. Ukli pishtan, when it comes to flax, ein behem mishum giyutz. There is no issue of ironing them. That's what giyutz is tiyufta, and that's a kasha on our havamina. So that we had tried to say that it's mutter to be lahaniach, to rinse clothes, to clean clothes and leave them for after Tisha B'Av. The Brisa says black on white, you're not allowed. Last short line, halfway down, Chav Testament Basic Gemara says Shalach Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Giyuri Mishmed Rabbi Yochanan Afal Pisham Klei Pisham Mishum Giyutz. Even though it's true that we learned that by flax that there is no such thing as ironing, that's not problematic. Aval Aser Leloshan B'Shabbos Shechal Lios Shechal Tisha B'Av Lios B'Socha. But you cannot wear it on that Shabbos for the week of Tisha B'Av. Amarab, let's limit this. Lo shanu ela lefanav. The only time you're limited is when it's before. So let's say during Shavuot Shechalbo that you have Tisha B'Av on a Tuesday, so you can't wear it on beforehand. Avala acharav mutter, but you can wear it afterwards. Or Shmuel Amar, no. Afilu la'acharav nami asur. The whole week of Tisha B'Av, even after Tisha B'Av, you're not allowed to wear it. Meisvei, the Gemara doesn't agree with Shmuel. We're 3 lines into the wide lines. Shabbos Shechal Tisha B'Av Lios B'Socha. When you have Shavuot Shechalbo, we said asur l'chabes l'saper l'chabes, no haircuts and no laundry. But on Thursday you're allowed because of Kavod Shabbos. Says the Gemara in the Brisa Ketzad. How do we understand this Brisa? Well, Let's go through the details. Chalios be'echad b'Shabbos. If Tisha B'av falls out on a Sunday, mutter l'chabes kol haShabbos kula. The whole week can be laundered after that because it's afterwards. B'sheni b'shlishi b'reviu b'chamishi. If it falls out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, the fun of aser la'acharav mutter. This is against Shmuel right here. This is where Shmuel has a big problem. Shmuel wanted to say even after Tisha B'av for the rest of the week, it's problematic to do laundry and to get haircuts. Here we see that that's not the case. Here we see that la'acharav is mutter, and this is a brisa, and Shmuel is an amora. You can't argue with a brisa. We're going to finish the brisa, but we already have our question on Shmuel. The brisa reads 3/4 of the way down. Chalios be'erev Shabbos. If we had a case where Tisha B'av fell out on Erev Shabbos, mutter l'chabes b'chamishim and mikavra Shabbos, that one is allowed to do laundry on the Thursday prior. Lo kavas b'chamishi b'Shabbos, mutter l'chabes be'erev Shabbos mina mincha l'mala. That one is allowed, even says the brisa, to do laundry mina mincha l'mala on Tisha B'av Erev Shabbos after mincha, no problem, so that you have new clothes for Shabbos. But light Allah Abaye interjects in the brisa and says he would curse someone who would do this. V'itema Rav Acha bar Yaakov Aha, and some say it was he. It was a different person. It was Rav Acha bar Yaakov who said there would be a curse. Anyways, the brisa continues. Chalios b'sheni v'chamishi. Had it been that Tisha B'av fell out on a Monday or on a Thursday where it's normal to lane, so then koren shlosha umaftir echad, 3 aliyahs and 1 maftir. B'shlishi u'v'revi, if it falls out on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, which is not a regular day to lane, the brisa reads korei echad. There are no 3 aliyahs. We've never seen such a thing. Korei echad u'maftir echad. Rav Yossi Omer, that's ridiculous. We don't hold that way. La'olam koren shlosha u'maftir echad. That really, when we lane on Tisha B'av, no matter when it is, even if it's on a Tuesday, which is otherwise not a laning day, we always read 3 aliyahs u'maftir echad. But there is a sheet on the Gemara. It's good yedias klalios. There is a sheet on the Gemara that holds that when we do a laning on a day that is not otherwise a laning day, namely not a Monday or Thursday, we don't lane 3 aliyahs, we only lane 2. Either way, tziyuv to the Shmuel. This did pose a problem for Shmuel because Shmuel said that Shavua Shechalbo, that you can't do anything even after Tisha B'av. So if Tisha B'av is on a Tuesday, you can't even do laundry on Thursday or Friday, even though Tisha B'av passed already. It's Yud Aleph, it's Yud Beis, but it's still the same week, not allowed. That's a machlokes, seemingly in the Tanoim. Says the Gemara, Amar Lach Shmuel, you can't really argue against me because Tanoihi. There's a big brisa here that we're going to see with 3 shitas, and then we're going to wrap up in how we paskin, and then we're going to call it a day. Says the Gemara, 8-9 lines from the bottom to Tanya, the brisa reads Tisha B'av Shechalios b'Shabbos, or B'chein Erev Tisha B'av Shechalios b'Shabbos, and one of these 2 days when Tisha B'av falls out on Shabbos, or if Erev Tisha B'av is on Shabbos, Ocha v'Shosa Kol Tzorcho, we eat on Shabbos, of course, because it's a nidche, we push the fast off. You're allowed to have a huge suda, no problem at all. Meir says no laundry until Rosh Chodesh. That's shita number 1. Shita number 2, Rabbi Yehuda Omer Kol HaChodesh Kula Aser. That's Shmuel. Shmuel said that even after the day of Tisha B'av, you're not allowed to do laundry, and it applies the whole month. The whole month of Av, you're not allowed to do laundry. Got to stock up. Rashba Gomer Eino Oser Ela Oser Shabbos Bilvad. No, it's only limited that particular week, and then that is brisa number 1. But Tanya Idach, another brisa with very, very similar shitas. We're 4 lines from the bottom on Chav Testament Beis. The brisa writes Tanya Idach the Noeg of El Rosh Chodesh at Taanis. We have a veilus from Rosh Chodesh until the fast day, till the 9th of Av. Divi Reb Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Kol HaChodesh Kulas. He says the whole month is Aser, similar to the last brisa. Rashba Gomer Eino Aser Ela Oser Shabbos Bilvad. Only that particular week. So we see 2 brises in a row that are very similar. Now, how did all of these people get their shitas? We have one that says just this week, one that says just this month. How do we figure all this out? So Rav Yochanan explains to us how each person got their shita. 2 lines from the bottom, Chav Testament Beis Rav Yochanan. The 3 of them, Rav Meir, Rav Yossi, and Rav Yehuda, they all understood from one pasuk. What was the pasuk? The pasuk reads, Vishpati kol misosa chaga chodsha v'shabata v'chol moada. That's what the pasuk reads. Man damar Meir Chodesh ve'ad Taanis. The one who says, that's Rav Meir, that it's only up until the Taanis. What does he say? He says that he focuses on the word mechaga. That's only talking about the chag itself. Fine. And that's what Rashi says, talking about Rosh Chodesh. Rashi, top of the page on Lamed Amud Aleph, says, Klamar Yalif Taima Min Chag, Dahinu Rosh Chodesh, and Ikra Chag. Umanda Amar, top line of the Gemara, Kol HaChodesh Aser, Kulo Aser, that's Mechod Shah. That's the Shita in the Tanaim that bases their understanding on this word in the pasuk of Chodesh. Umanda Amar Kol HaShabbos Kula, Mishabata. The one who says it's only that week and not the month is Shabbos. Amar Rava, how do we paskin halacha l'maisa when it comes to doing laundry as it relates to Tisha B'av? So we have a double psak and lakula. Says the Gemara, Amar Rava halacha kirashbag, and the Amar Rava halacha kirav meir v'tarvahu lakula. We need to blend their 2 shitas together. Why and how does this work? Says the Gemara, 4 lines from the bottom, not hard. The tzricha. We need both psakim. We need to say we hold like Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, and we need to say that we hold like Reb Meir. Tzricha. The yeshmin halacha kirav meir. If I would have said halacha kirav meir, havamina filu Rosh Chodesh, I might have thought that it was only Shabbos from Rosh Chodesh and not from Shavua Shechalbo, Kamashman Halacha Kirashbag, that is only Shavua Shechalbo. V'yesh min Halacha Kirabshim min Gamliel. Had I thought it was only Shavua Shechalbo and onwards, having been a filo la'acharav, then maybe that the prohibition would apply the entire month. Kamashman Halacha Kirab Meir. And from here we see in our Gemara that we have a stringency during Shavua Shechalbo specifically and narrowly that doesn't apply in the week prior and doesn't apply any time after. The only thing that we do is we say that until the fires went out on the middle of the 10th, we have some akpadas about eating meat and doing those kinds of things. Otherwise, this is the blend of the two Tanoim out of the three, Rav Meir and Rashbag. That's how Rava paskins. And we will stop right here, Mir Tashem, on Sunday night. We will pick up with Daf Lamed. Wishing you all a beautiful night.